out my recipes, which never come to the store without your recipes because you will always forget something. So we managed to find our healthy section first, where all the organic stuff, a little bit of odd things are. And so we've got this whole line of bins here with all sorts of goodies. So I think that's where I'm gonna start. I'm making a dessert. One of them is my pumpkin bars, and it's got walnuts. So I'm gonna get some walnuts real quick. Now some people are afraid to use a lot of nuts and stuff in their recipe, but nuts are really good. They're really filling, they're really healthy for you. They have lots of omegas in them, which we need. Let's see, we've got raw walnuts. These look like they're actually the same thing. You can actually use walnuts, you can use almonds. Peanuts I would shy away from a little bit because they're not as nutritious and a little bit higher in fat. So let's go ahead and get some walnuts. These look pretty good. Got a half a pound there. Pretty good. Let's see, now the bins have all sorts of great things for you. One of the things you'll notice is that if you're not familiar with an ingredient, like say succanut or something like that that's a little odd, succanut, by the way, can be a good substitute for like brown sugar. It's a little more granular, so you got to get used to cooking with these things, but that's why these are so great, because you can get just a tiny bit and kind of practice with it, and it doesn't matter, you didn't invest, you know, $8 in some weird thing, but
right.
They also list nutrition, they list what it all contains. So we've got all these bins down below that have all sorts of different flours, and then you've got, you know, rice, nuts, you do have all these little pre-mixes. Be careful with some of the pre-mixes because they've got dried fruits in them. You always want to go for the fruits that are actually whole fruits and not the dried, because the dried have a lot of sugar.
Gotcha.
A lot more sugar. And they're not as dense, so you're really not getting as full on those sorts of things. And it's very easy to overdo it and eat too much. So, and sugar and fat combo, even when it's a healthy fat, is not always the best combination. That will actually put on some weight. So if you're trying to gain, load up, I guess. Here is a product called Xyla.
Ooh,
I usually like Ideal, that's another brand. It's a xylitol product. This is a natural sweetener, and on this natural sweetener, pretty much everything is zero, except for we've got some carbs in there. So, and it does have some sugar alcohols in xylitol, but it's a natural. But sometimes sugar alcohols will upset people's stomach. I like to cook with it, but I don't, and bake with it. But I just don't overdo it. So I'm gonna get this and put it in my buggy.
Nice.
Another sweetener that I like, that I think actually is on another aisle, we'll have to check it out later, is Stevia. Because I know I get a lot of questions about Stevia. And there's different brands. Evidently, one side of the leaf tastes a little bitter, more bitter than the other side of the leaf. So depending on which brand you grab, it might be a little more pungent and more expensive if they actually refine the tastier side, I think. So stevia is an acquired taste, but it's really, really great for baking as well. So, okay, we've got our organic beans and soups. A lot of the soups are really good, but you gotta be careful, like if you grab something, because they still have quite a bit of sodium in it, you're still far better off making your own. And so one of the things you can do is look over here to your left, where you have all of these awesome broths. And if you look for just low sodium, and I like organic because that usually means fewer ingredients and crud in it. But you can make the base of pretty much any soup here, and to make it creamy you can add things like organic Greek yogurt, you can add almond milk, rice milk, things like that. So let's grab, these look pretty good. It says no salt added, which I like, so that makes it only 30 milligrams of salt, and I need some black beans for a chili that I'm going to make, so I'm going to get this one. Next I need oat flour. I use oat flour in a lot of my recipes, and I think a lot of you are familiar with it. There's lots of people making my bars. Thank you for doing that. So we're gonna make some more. I'm gonna make my pumpkin protein bars, and I'm also making my cinnamon swirl protein bread. So oat flour, which is right here, is an awesome choice for that. I don't see here that they have one that is marked gluten-free, but typically oat flour is gluten-free. The difference is when it's marked, you can be guaranteed that in the processing that it was never contaminated or cross-contaminated. So really most oat flour is gluten-free, but if you want to be sure, look for the one that's marked gluten-free. So, but for this one, if you look here, it's just whole grain oats. But you can make this yourself too. You can use a coffee grinder, is really convenient if you just want to do a little bit at a time. My mom, she likes to take a whole canister of the oats, grind them in the blender, and then put them right back in the container and just scoop out of there. Because this is pretty much like eating a bowl of oatmeal. It's, you know, you use a couple cups in a whole recipe and you're really not getting a whole lot of carbs. One thing to keep in mind though is this is really fine. You won't necessarily be able to get it as fine on your own, so you might need a tiny bit more for the recipe than what it typically calls for. So, but we're gonna get this. I might actually get to. Oh, I will mention this. This is just finely ground almonds. This can work in some of them for a substitute, but it really does change the texture. It's more mealy, it's more granular. So sometimes combining things works a little bit better. Plus, if you notice, it's definitely more expensive, so you really got to know your recipe to use this or you're going to end up wasting it. But I know a lot of people will combine this with your like almond butters, nut butters, peanut butter even, to make cookie type consistencies. So they'll be a little crumbly though, so you always have to find thickeners, but this is definitely a good option for you no carb kind of people. I love the grocery store. I can hang out forever. Here, we just came across this. Don't use this. Agave was a trend I think for a while, and it looks like it's, you know, decent. It's not too bad on the nutrition panel, but the problem with agave is it will spike your blood sugar. So it's not your best option as far as sweeteners. I make a coconut macaroon that I absolutely love, and I do put it in there because the coconuts are really, it's a really small batter. It's a batch of stuff, I guess. It only yields about 10 cookies. So if I want to be a little naughty, this is still the lesser of evils as far as like real sugar and stuff like that. But just be aware that this one actually will spike your blood sugar. So if I was going to choose, because this is more watery, I'd probably just go for the real organic honey, which is right next to it. If I were making something that I had to sweeten in that way or make it thicker, definitely the honey is the way I'd go. The problem with some of these cereals is that their sugar content is still a little high. Sometimes what's in them though are fortified foods, which means it's added vitamins and minerals, but usually they have to add vitamins and minerals because they've stripped down the nutrition value so much. Still, you want to go for the more whole, natural type foods, but you know, in a pinch, especially for kids, these are really good options. This one looks like it's got 5 grams of sugar, but it's got a considerable amount of fiber, not too bad. And then you've got all of these, and if you look at it, you can see whole oat flour, yellow corn flour, unsulfured molasses, that's probably your sweetener there. And then it's got vitamins that were added. So this is actually a pretty good option for kids, for adults. If you're gonna make a trail mix at home, you can use something like this. Add your nuts and maybe coconut flakes, unsweetened coconut, or again, stay away from a lot of the dried fruits. But you can make it sweetened with vanilla, cinnamon, things like that. So anyway, lots of different choices here. Just keep your grams of sugar under 5 and look for as few additives as possible. Going. Now we've come to all the options of milks. We've got soy milks, we've got rice milk, this one's organic oat milk. I mean, everything's pretty much a milk. I'm gonna look for unsweetened almond because that's what I like. Okay, so we've got that one, and then I don't typically do a lot of soy. That's a question that I get. Soy is a great alternative for vegans, and soy is definitely really healthy, but as far as a protein go, it's not one of your stronger protein sources. I usually shy away from it. I've had breast cancer before, and I'm not sure. There's always contradictory sort of information on it, whether or not it promotes estrogen. So my doctors actually recommended I stay away, so I did. Instead, I opt for the almond, and even the rice milk type stuff is a little bit better, but you're not getting as much nutrition from the rice milk as you are from almond milk. Actually, let's see, we'll look at the nutrition panel here. It's only 40 calories for a whole cup. And your sugars you're looking at here are 0. Now, if you were to look at actual milk, you're still looking at fewer calories, but your sugars get to like 8 to 12 grams of sugar for a glass of milk. So we don't want that lactose, we don't want that dairy. Dairy, again, can be estrogen promoting. There's lots of hormones and stuff in certain things. You can look for organic, and you can use that potentially, but typically dairy, for some reason, is just something that not very many people digest well. That's why a lot of our whey products and stuff are lactose free. I don't eat this stuff. Instead, I like to make my own chips, organic pita, or Ezekiel makes a lot of really great products. They have a corn tortilla, and so I'll just bake that in the oven and break it up. I think that works better than a lot of this stuff, because even though it's healthier, a lot of it's still highly processed. Lots of great fish options, and actually a fish might be something that we can add to the menu. So I might actually get some tilapia. Let me look over here. I like the frozen fillets because they're usually flash frozen, so they're still really healthy and clean. You've got all sorts of options, but this is a lean white fish, so it's always a good option for dieting. So I'm gonna grab this one. Now we already went past the produce section. I could hang out there all day. There's so many great options. I might need to go back there and get some stuff for our fish. But so far I just got zucchini because we're gonna make a turkey burger using zucchini. I think with our fish, maybe something like asparagus. I know a lot of you guys, when you diet, you opt for sweet potatoes and fish, or lots of greens and fish. So to accommodate you guys, I think maybe we'll swing by at the end and go back over by the produce. Alright, well, I think for my turkey burgers, I'm actually going to change that to a ground chicken burger. You can do turkey or chicken, but it looks like I'm in luck here. They have ground chicken breast. Make sure it's breast because we want the white meat. The dark meat's definitely more fatty. But nutrition-wise, this one looks like 4 ounces, 180 calories, 8 grams of fat, 24 grams of protein. That's still a little bit higher in fat, but it's not saturated. It's got 2.5 grams of saturated. It's not too bad. It's only 70 milligrams of sodium too. So then this one, we've got leaner meats. It's 160 calories and 8 grams of fat again. This one's got 80 milligrams of sodium, so actually higher sodium. And we've got 22 grams of protein. This one was 24 grams of protein. So they're both a 4 ounce portion. So this one says lean. I actually want extra lean. Maybe look, maybe down here. 4 ounces, 120 calories, 1.5 grams of fat, nothing saturated, 65 milligrams of sodium, a little bit less than the chicken, and 28 grams of protein. Isn't that weird how it's higher? But it is. So this one's more natural, less additives. So we're going to go ahead and get this for our chili. I'm going to get a couple of them. One of the reasons I like choosing this is it's really not too high in fats, and it's a great source of protein, and it tastes better. That's one of my deals, is it's actually a lot more, it absorbs flavors, the spices, everything. So if you're entertaining especially and you want to cook something really lean, this has minimal fat in it, and it'll taste 10 times better than the turkey tastes. So just for the sake of the recipe, I'll stick with all turkey this time because this is harder to find, although I'm really tempted.